with the feared second wave or things that we really don't know what is happening. Then of course, last week, so that was encouraging. We had almost 250 plus. The last 2 weeks also, we have had 100 plus. And I will leave the introduction of Dr. Lalitha Mendis, former Thomian. Proud about that fact, Dr. Lalit, for what you have achieved, for your faith, for your medical expertise, for your study on the whole area of the effects of screen in the lives of children, which we heard you speak before. But I'll leave the introduction to Pastor Kendall, and let me begin this meeting with prayer. Shall we unite our hearts in prayer? Father, we realize that the past 4 or 5 months, all of us have been shaken in different ways with the eruption of COVID-19. Our lives have been disrupted. Our family lives have been disrupted. And education for our children have also, in one sense, been disrupted in terms of studying in a classroom environment. And yet we thank you for helping us to handle the in our home life, in our school life, for helping children and teachers to adjust to online learning and online teaching. And Father, for providing every meal on the table, especially when there was curfew and we found it hard to get food to our homes. And Lord, we can be so thankful to you. So we thank you that today we could address our A-level parents as to how they could help their child to adjust to the new normal. And thank you that we could have Dr. Lalit speak to us and address this issue. So be with him, bless him, and make what he shares with us a blessing to all those who are participating today. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father Roshan. I count it a privilege to introduce to our speaker this evening. He is the director of Colombo Empathic Learning Center and formerly head of Department of Pharmacology, Faculty of Medicine in Catania. He has been a person who has written several books, who has been of great service even during this COVID time to this nation. So, and being an old Thomian as well, it's a privilege to have him come and share among our A-level parents and encourage our A-level parents on this particular topic about the new normal, which is a very relevant topic to us and of importance on how we mold and how we parent our son in the weeks and months and years ahead of us. So over to you, Dr. Lalit, as it's just your room now. It's up to you to take on. So just let me know at what time you want to move the slide and I will do that. If there is any parent here, please inbox me because I'll need your help when we have the Zoom rooms. Over to you, Dr. Lalit.
Thank you very much. It's a joy to speak to the parents of STC, Mount Lavinia, on behalf of your A-level sons. So I did my A-level in 1970 and 1971. Those days we had to do the practicals in the university. We had 4 subjects then, chemistry, zoology, botany, and physics. So I was a real bookworm and a book nut, and there was no need for girls because chemistry was better than girls, I thought. And then that exam, I became first in the island. I had been generally first in the class, but from STC, I became first in the island in the A-level examination, and also all my Colombo Medical Faculty career, I was batch top. So that's an encouragement for old Thomians to think of young Thomians as being capable of academic excellence and to consider university academic life to become doctors, engineers, lawyers alongside becoming business magnates. So this is part of my side interest in addressing parents. So the topic is how best to get their curricular potential in a world where they are distracted with online issues, and anyway there's so much on the digital screen because of cartoons and digital games and chatting, Instagram, and constantly changing screen. First thing I have to reiterate is they will generally follow the dad in error and follow the mom in good. Did that sit with you? So dad, when you come home at 7 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. or whatever time, for the next 2 hours, you have to give a moratorium for the smartphone, iPad, and tab. This I always say when parents come to the Empathic Learning Center, which I'm director of. I was head of Department of Pharmacology in the medical faculty. So we found all the doctors referring to the issue that whenever parents come for a medical consultation, first thing they say is, doctor, what to do? My son or daughter is so addicted to the screen. So last year I had to present an academic seminar to the SLMA, that's the Medical Association, of my research findings and what can be done. But today I want to speak at a domestic level from dad and mom, what can be done. So the first thing is, now we understand the issue. They're anyway addicted to the smartphone or the smart screen. It's mainly the pixel screen that is the problem. So I'm first talking about the sociological angle of when dad comes home, at least for 2 hours if you can, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., at least for 90 minutes to be completely present at home. Because dad sets the atmosphere, the thermostat of the home, so that you are really there is very important for a student going through A-level. And A-level is a very challenging time because they think they know, and at the same time they face a competitive world. Now, even if your son or daughter is not limited to universities in Sri Lanka, you still have to, they have to make their best, they have to come to understand from their point of view, what curriculum is best for them. Now I need to tell you a few things that happens when children get digitized early, and some things that you should do your best to implement at home. Now, A-level students are, they are 17, 18. For some of these things will be too late for them. But generally, I give you 5 laws. 1, never give the digital screen before the age of 3. Children best learn analog, brain tracks, develop best analog. That's the research. So there's a recommendation of the American Pediatric Association, don't give the digital screen at all in the first 3 years. That will scramble the language. So of the children that parents bring to me, schools refer to me, or my students and fellow doctors refer to me, the 1/3 come before the age of, by the age of 6, 7, they find language scrambled. Their language ability is bad because they have been too much on the digital screen from very young days. So law number 1, never give the digital screen before the age of 3. This is medical recommendation by the American Pediatric Association. Now some moms will say, finished, our nanny went off. This doctor is off his rocker. How can we manage the child without the digital screen? But that's medical advice. Second law, let me get to my slides and see her second slide. I will first give you the laws. Second law, at eating time, please don't give the screen. Eating feed time is the most brain brilliant time to teach the best practices, best habits, and so on. That's the best time. So during that time, if you give the screen, put the TV on, you lose the time to get the child's best brain potential, best brain initiation in the early years, because up to the age of 5, the most brain brilliant activity a child can do is sit and eat his first resource, the food, to completion, initiation, navigation, successful conclusion. He eats it and rewards that executive empathic learning track. Executive empathic learning track. Why executive? He decides and does. Why empathic? Good for him, good for his future, good for others. These are things they need to learn very, very young. Food time is the best time for prayers, godly advice, good habits, and interaction with parents. So at least the dinner, you have to sit with your son and daughter and do. Even if Sangakkar is going to break the world record, or some COVID chap has run off and there's a thrilling commentary going on television, that dinner time must be sacrosanct and inviolate, that you keep it with your son and daughter. Then in the morning, before breakfast or at breakfast time, before kid goes to school, don't have fisticuffs. Whether he understood, didn't understand, whether he had done homework or not, you must send them off to school with the best possible ethos, peaceable, loving, hug and all that. Then third law is after 6 p.m., minimize exposure to the pixel screen. Why do I say pixel screen? iPad, tab, smartphone and smart laptops are pixel screen first, whereas traditional laptop and desktops come with the LCD screen in front of the LED screen. All of the digitizing effects, I'll describe what they are. All of the digitizing effects of the screen comes from the pixel screen. Higher the PPI, that is pixels per inch, greater the digitizing effect on the brain. So this is why after 6 p.m. please minimize excessive digital activity, which means fast cartoons, digital games. If they are doing PowerPoint, just Microsoft Word or that kind of study, it's not much of a problem. But plead with them. With this generation, you can't fight with them. They'll challenge you and they'll come for a fight, because they're already into thrill and fighting mode. Sit with them and for them to understand. So when kids and parents come to our empathic learning center, what I do is I speak to the chap scientifically, even when they're age 8, 10, 12, 16, 18 or beyond, they listen to science better than parents shouting at them. So I draw graphics and so on. Some of you will see, get them to understand. Of course, I insist that dad and mom should come when I'm speaking to the child, and dad must own the problem. Dad is used to owning the challenge trophies and the challenge shields and the great things the son does. And he quickly disowns the son when the fellow starts getting smelly. I'm sure young Thonians, as did old Thonians, get smelly from time to time. Then dad, you have to be there at the time son or daughter is going through difficulty. Mother makes it daily safe. Dad gives the next stretch and next step. And dad is the governor of the boundaries. I'll repeat it. Dad is the governor of the boundaries. That is, you keep watch on the boundaries, what they should not, what they can be allowed. And when it is violated, you have to sit down and do a mistake management. So consider your child's error as the best investment time. Particularly in a digitally spooked up, hyped world, little fellow he thinks he's omniscient very early. He thinks he knows everything very early. It's a time of the mistake. You get the chance to wedge in gently, with understanding, and help him in his mistake to do better. They will remember it. I'll repeat it. Don't make mistake time a huge gory time. Take time, be patient, ask the Lord for help, and say, help me to tackle my son's problem. They can get into serious problems depending on the degree of digitization and what they are looking at and what they are doing. So every little mistake and danger signal, take time to discern it, be around the house, be available in their moments of defeat and mea culpa to get your bonding at that time. You know, when we were growing up, our fathers didn't have to beg time from us. But nowadays, when sons are growing up or grown up, you have to beg time. So before that situation arises, give them time. Be their best friend in time of trouble. So what happens on too much digital screen? Here are the three key features of too much digital screen. Inattention, attention span decreases, and attention depths become shallow. So they can't study at the depth the subject requires. I repeat, when they are too digitized, they can't study the subject or that particular topic at the length, at the depth the subject requires. Even mathematics, you need to solve the riddle, initiation, navigation, successful and conclusion, reward. That's the empathic executive pathway. They will not get into that when their attention span has reduced. A second effect of the digital screen too much is impulsivity. They will do without thinking. You know, the proverb is, Taninnata pera sitala balamu. But we have a generation, Sitannata pera panala balamu. They are a generation into experience and thrill. Do and learn is their modus, because that's what the screen teaches them. They will not think and do. They will do and think, imagining their action will have some amazing research effect for them, which is of course foolish, but you can't fight with them. Impulsivity is a huge problem of the digitized generation. I will come to the point how much digitized is digitized. Third thing is of the effect of the digital screen on behavior, character, career, curriculum, and character, career, curriculum, choices, all are affected by the digital screen. So hyperactivity is that they, while doing one thing, they do the other thing. So multitasking on the screen is not a good idea for adults or for younger fellows. So do one thing at a time for 45 minutes. I will explain why. Multitasking between screens, between Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, the old fellow's delight, you know, is not good for your brain or for the young child's brain. Do, I repeat, do one thing at a time for 40 to 45 minutes. I'll give the scientific explanation for that. The next slide. Next slide. One before that. Kendall, one before that. Two before that, really. Key loss, that's right, thank you. Reduce screen after 6 p.m. because after 6 p.m. melatonin begins to be secreted. So if you get if the child is too much on the screen, sleep will be disturbed, which means memory will be disturbed. In the night, there's a real God program happening on the brain to get all the neurochemicals reduced to back to normal and attend on all the neuronal matter. There's a system called the glymphatic system in the brain that works to do that. So the child wakes up in the morning very refreshed. If not, he wakes up in the morning grouchy, grumpy, complaining about the teacher, complaining about the shoes, complaining about everything. That is because he has been sleep disturbed, though he slept. The real physiological sleep of REM, non-REM, dream sleep, no dream sleep cycles haven't happened. My recommendation is for any fast activities such as fast cartoons or digital games, not more than 25 minutes. If they are on it for 25 minutes, then they'll want to be it for ever and ever. Parallel to or in addition to the digital screen, if you have LED lights where your son studies, or in your sleeping room, or in your washroom, that will disturb sleep. So many people are now fixing LED lights to reduce on the electricity bill, but it affects sleep. This is research. Blue light affects sleep. So keep attention span to 45 minutes lifelong. You will not get Alzheimer. Do not multitask with social media. Do one thing at a time. And if possible, write 4 A4 pages. This is for older folk. For us, write 4 A4 pages in 2 languages. You don't get Alzheimer. I repeat, write 4 A4 pages in 2 languages daily. You won't get Alzheimer. Next one. Digital stimulant has 5 components. Next slide. The time length, I have explained that. How concentrated the pixels are, so the PPI, so a smartphone that has 1000 pixels range, or the 4K and 8K home TV screen will affect his memory, will affect his sleep, and will affect his study process of collation, connection, assimilation, recall, application. All those that have to happen when he's sleeping will not happen when you have too much of blue frequency from LED lights have gone into him. So rate of pixel change in the frame, intensity and variability of sound and color, time exposure effect after 6 p.m. All these things will contribute to poor learning process. Thing is how to get him to understand this and work with you. So as I told you, you can't fight with them. I have written some books. If there's going to be of any use, you can. They are available in the college book cupboard. Screen Smart and Right Learning and Recovering Childhood. The foreword to this has been written by Warden Father Mark Billy Moria. It's in the book cupboard, college book cupboard. It's also available in Sarasavia and Vijitayapa. Parenting, Heart and Brain. So lots of books I have written for parents to be able to help their son and daughter. Best curriculum, best potential, best career choices will be made. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes. So I have what I told you before, I'm putting on this slide. Reduce learning off the screen rather than black and white print. Reduces memory recall, collation, connect and apply. Besides the other ill effects of the pixel screen. Some technical stuff. If you are a doctor or teacher, please WhatsApp me to 077 49 59 214 if you want more technical details. 077 49 59 214. Next slide. Yes, next slide. This is the neuron. It looks like a nice hairstyle, millennial hairstyle, but it's actually a neuron. What you see at the hairy end are the dendrites through which impulses are taken into the axon. And the other end is a receptor end. I don't know whether you can see all this. So in the conceptual learning processes, the most important neurochemical transmitters are dopamine and serotonin. As I told you, after a day of work in the night during sleep, all these excess neurochemicals will be removed by a God-designed system that works in the brain. I call it God-designed because it's so specific. It must have been God who did it. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. So these are 2 curves in the learning process. First curve is driven by dopamine, which says do, do, do. Dopamine helps you to work to salience, work to the salient point, keep focus. Dopamine must work and then come down. There's supposed to be a U-curve, come down in 45 minutes. Then serotonin takes over, which is the check-back neurochemical transmitter. It works for satiety. That is to say, when you do something, we automatically, after 45 minutes, we will sit back and check back and see, did I do it right? Did I get it right? How right did I get it? And so on. When the child is on the digital screen for more than 25-30 minutes on fast cartoons, not study material, on fast cartoons or fast digital games, then what happens is the dopamine begins to go up, and that stimulation of the pixel screen acts like cocaine. It's not a small problem. So Massachusetts calls it electronic cocaine. UCLA calls it digital heroin. So you have to plead with them, work with them to see that they are not on the digital screen too long, because too long on fast games. Now, many British private schools prevent kids taking the smartphone into the dormitory. That's dormitory discipline life. Now, I don't know how you are going to negotiate with your A-level fellow. He'll kick up a shindy and a row if you suggest don't take your smartphone or laptop to the room. So what you should do is start early with the 10-year-old fellow and teach him the rules. Besides teaching him the rule that you have to work with him. Mom makes it safe daily. Under the age of 3, bonding with mom gives them intimacy, safety inside. And after the age of 3, dad has to increasingly work with son or daughter, because you give the next stretch and the next step. You give them confidence, competence, and certainty. So that when you have work like that from young days, when the difficult years come as they cross 13 and meet the serpent in the garden in different ways, then you have a hold on his heart. And give them thrilling experiences with you, either in the beach or some holiday. I mean, you don't have to go to exotic places. You do something with the bicycle or whatever, something thrilling. So from young days, so son gets into his head, my dad is the one who taught me this. My dad is the one who took me for this and that and the other. So when difficult years are coming, crossing 13 and 14, and testosterone is working, or the other lady hormones, at that stage, you have become their consultant on thrill and peril. You have to get that done. You have to get that appointment by working with them. I hope I'm making sense. I'm saying this a little quickly also. These are the 2 cycles that you see on the screen. Salience for dopamine, working with dopamine, and dopamine must come down. Then serotonin kicks in. That's how you get your default mode network of thought, and that's how the hour is gone. So we know when we have done something for 3 hours, we have a sense it's about 3 hours. That is because brain keeps tick-tock. It's not the Chinese app, but brain keeps tick-tock, even when we are not looking at time. Through this default mode network, through these cycles of salience and satiety, dopamine and serotonin working. If the child is too much on the screen, dopamine doesn't come down, and then he wants to do the same thing again and again. Not only that, dopamine has 2 kinds of receptors, physiological and addictive. Dopamine, if the child is too much on the screen, he shifts to addictive. That's the effect of cocaine. That is why when a kid is too much on the screen, they are also, they get addicted, or they want to go on other chemical experiences to intensify what they are already feeling in the brain. Next slide. So this slide shows you 2 tracks, how we must be working. We are designed to work from the prefrontal cortex. Track number 1, it's called top-down regulation. That's our normal pattern of learning, working. Executive, empathic, reflective, creative, initiation, navigation, and conclusion, reward. These graphics are available on my book, so please try to purchase a book so that you will be educated to help your son or daughter. Other track, when they're too much on the screen, they get into bottom-up regulation. What is bottom-up regulation? They, whatever that comes from outside, they begin to respond to that. Color, light, sound, thrill, peril, whatever comes from outside becomes their governor, or the last grief. So this is, then they are working through the amygdala, hippocampus and hypothalamus. It's called bottom-up regulation, because they're not thinking and doing, they're just allowing the last thing that was a strong stimulant to work in them. Then they get into dyspathy, that is the opposite of empathy, impulsive, repetitive, reflexive, reactive, and into fright, flight, fight behavior. Always stressed up, they are into thrill and peril. And at that stage, they may begin to cut themselves and get into other dark, dangerous, spooky stuff of the digital screen. So if he's self-isolating too much in his room by himself, you need to take care. Please keep the good habits of getting them for dinner time, family prayer time. As I told you, 7 o'clock is happy, holy harvest hour. Dad, that's your best hour. And your best career development is not in the corporate. Your best career development is at home, because your best career is with your wife, son and daughter. Mom, same thing to you. Your best career with your spouse, son and daughter. Don't give up that career for any other career. Next slide. These are the 7 brain tracks with which we function. They begin to wire up from our very young days, from the mother's womb, and that they keep developing. So I normally in my lectures, I tell pregnant ladies to, speak to their baby, sing to their baby. Medically also, this is acknowledged now. Don't go through a whole day without thinking about your baby in the womb. And first 3 years, mother's bonding is very critical for baby's brain brilliance. That's why normally they say mother's interaction makes fellows more brain brilliant. But fact is that in the younger days, it's the mother who interacts mostly. So that is very important. Bonding equals brain brilliance. Also, there's a thing called heart brain, that begins to learn before the big brain. And these are the 7 tracks. First one is empathic intuitive. The child begins to develop, how do I think about myself? Second one, the same for us as well, only that this kind of formation happens from day dot. Second one is empathic relational, how he assesses others in relationship with him. Third one is linguistic. I have already told you, if you give the digital screen early, there'll be scrambling. You are very good. There'll be scrambling of speech. So linguistic, some people are very talkative. Some children are, they speak less. So it is important for you to understand your child. The empathic, intuitive child will not want to come out and talk much. So you can't say dirty disgrace, relatives came, you did not come out and speak. Teachers also have to take cognizance of it. Every child will not like to get up and answer. And some other children think better when they move around. They are kind of aesthetic. I'll come to that. Fourth track is logical management. That's why we give the children from young days building blocks and other toys or substances that make them, stuff that makes them intelligent. What I have to say is, what makes brain brilliant is analog stuff. More you give the screen, though electronics people claim different things, research has proved again and again, even Minecraft does not make brain brilliant. That's it. If you want references, please WhatsApp me. I can't be too technical in this talk. So logical management track has to be developed intentionally from young days. By the age of 14, the brain begins to edit tracks down to 50%, which means the child will have what the child had up to that time, whatever the child has been doing. So normally parents think of child's brain brilliance only after 14 when they are thinking of going through O-level. You have to think about it before that. So these are the tracks with which we do work. Then we have 3 more tracks, which these are functional tracks. There is a Professor Howard Gardner model of understanding brain functioning. The 3 tracks left over, I mean, they're important, we all have them. The kinesthetic, how much we internally move, acoustic and visual. Digital screen revs up kinesthetic, acoustic and visual. So over the last many years, over nearly 20 years, we have children getting more kinesthetic, acoustic, visual. Olden days, they were called right brain, imaginative, dreamy, entertaining, hospitality. So the universities have absorbed this trend of change by having university level courses for hospitality, entertainment, decor, music, drama, and all that. But all the world is not a stage, and especially the arena for that kind of employment is shrinking. Everybody wants to do IT, but arena for IT employment is shrinking. So then they become games engineers and people begin to create a world after the ash screen rather than the world created in God's image. So it's a big problem when the screen increases in people's lives, they lose reality. They begin to believe fake, spook, magic monsters. So we have to reduce digital consumption and reduce the kinesthetic, acoustic, visual overdrive, the disco behavior of the present generation. I made a loaded statement because time is short and I want to get on to a little more helpful, the practically helpful things. Next slide. I don't know whether college is able to email these slides to you. It would be a good thing if you have them, then you're authentic, you can study them again, you can show them to your son and daughter. Remember, this generation listens to science. So it's important to speak to them like that. I think I have done most of this. I'll just attention span. Boredom, inability to focus or concentrate. Chronic fatigue syndrome is commoner with commoner with girls than with boys. Then cutting, self-inflicted injuries because they are dopamine depleted and they will do other things for thrill and excitement. All these cases have come to me in our empathic learning center. Then they think learning is uninteresting, regular is boring, shallow decisions, impetuous decisions, which they live to regret. In fact, when you're too much on the screen, you reduce creativity. Creativity comes from imagination. Creativity is a gift of God. When the screen is doing all the thinking, you're only a robot who's following the screen. That's the problem with digital games. Screen starts, you react. Screen starts, you respond. That is not creativity. That is not brain brilliance. That is robotic behavior. Next slide. I have already discussed this, that there's a digital effect on sleep. Please, sleep is precious. Somehow have a plan with your son and daughter. No digital games after 6 o'clock. If you fail, then say, please, no digital games after 7 p.m. And keep pleading. At least by 9 p.m., he must switch off the digital games and fast cartoons. So I found in this online time, I have already sent to schools how to do online time. And I suggested that you keep a gap between every class, online class, Zoom class. So I know college does it, but the young fellow, in between studies, he gets on the screen and he does his own thing. So it's quite a difficult situation these days to keep them on the screen without supervision. As you know, Chromebook is less pixel intense. That's the best. Smart laptops, iPad, tab, and smartphone are the most pixel intense. Now I think time is about 10 to 6. 10 to 6. Yes, next slide. Sleep and learning, I think those are technical details. I think we can skip it. I think I need to tell you how to minimize digitalization. Can we please have a slide a little further down? Minimizing digitalization. This is applicable to students as well as dad and mom. So while working on the screen, take down notes. Please get them to do this. Taking down notes makes brain brilliant. Language is God's gift to mankind. More language use with fingers writing, more brain scripting. I repeat, more language use with fingers writing, more brain scripting. The finger writing, handwriting, and especially royal copybook handwriting, as Thomians have learned for generations. Get your flowing hand properly, dot the I and cross the T at the end of the word. You remember we were told. I hope it's still being told. And when you do your English like that, and also 2 languages simultaneously every day, that makes brain brilliant. And take down notes. Please develop this habit yourself, and insist this with your children. I should tell this to parents also, to teachers also. Encourage them, somehow even command them to take down notes with pen and paper. And then I have already said minimize screen time after 6 p.m. Work on laptop rather than iPad, tab or smartphone, and there should be a non-smart laptop. Do not increase digitalization in personal life. For all digital activity, use a do not use 4K, 8K screen for home. Every bit of blue light in the house increases digitalizing effect. That you must remember. So if you have already fixed LED lights on the roof, what you can do is, at least where your son is studying, keep it LED free. Though the amount of blue light frequency in the house or in the area affects sleep, depression and everything else. So to minimize digitalization, here are some practical things. Reduce multitasking. So please, you yourself and your son and daughter, say, please, darling, do your studies for 45 minutes. Then give a 15 minutes break for serotonin to work and what sink in. And then, okay, 15 minutes of some slow digital activity. Actually, it is not okay, but if you have to barter and so on, what to do? Then munch vegetable and fruit. This generation will say, I hate fruit, I hate vegetables. That's how this generation goes. They only want to eat sausages and more sausages, tips, and red colored drinks and ice cream have coloring agents that increase the ADHD effect. So by the way, ADHD gets diagnosed, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder gets diagnosed because of too much digitalization. In 70% of in the cases of ADHD, cause is too much digitization. 30% has other causes. So have tweezers on your finger, do something with your fingers while you're studying. Keep a kohulanu ball, a choir ball like that, and getting your both hands, getting friction on your fingers reduces the dopamine effect on the brain. Rough choir woven carpet for your feet, barefooted, scratching the feet with your sole, S-O-L-E, sole of your feet is, it has a physiological effect to reduce the dopamine effect on the brain. Watch sunrise and sunset to improve melatonin mechanisms, increase sport activities, increase 3D activities. And in the home, if you put a lanu padura, a choir carpet-like thing, hang a ball, better a real cricket leather ball in a sock, and you just play talk, 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 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. That helps brain activity and reduces digitization. Of course, cricket at any time is a good thing for father and son to play. We have developed an empathic motor therapy center in our Empathic Learning Center in Boralla, Sepulveda Road near the Oval. We have 3,600 square feet of it's a challenge course, but it's designed medically to get young fellows out of digital toxicity. It works on ropes and grips, like a low rope, middle rope, high rope. So that's useful to get the digitization out of young fellows. Do not listen to music while working. Next one. Please Google and have a look at the Mozart effect. They will tell you, Mom, I study better when I have another pair of ears, the earphones. That is not so. If you study with music, to get it out, you'll have to play music in the examination hall. Studying with music makes the fellow sit at it longer, but it actually does not increase learning or ability to memorize. So music while studying is counterproductive, but classic music, Amazing Grace and great hymns. Otherwise, reading lyrics and singing makes brain brilliant. Reading lyrics and playing an instrument makes brain brilliant. Reading lyrics, singing lyrics, reading music, and playing a stringed instrument makes more brilliant than playing keyboard, but keyboard is also good. So that's a little summary of the effects of music and singing. So next one, brain boost. Let me see. Physical exercise improves your brain power by forming new brain cells and helps in the survival of the existing neurons. Also increases the size of your hippocampus, which is a brain area associated with memory and learning. So please, physical exercise of some sort. And there's a lot of accommodation difficulties of young children. This is known only for the last 18 months. If kids are too much on the digital screen from younger days, organelles of the eye don't develop. The little muscles, accommodation muscles, the ciliary muscles, different sections of the eye do not develop properly if the child is on the screen. This is why so many children are now having to wear spectacles and they have eye problems. So please reduce the use of the screen. When you stop learning, parts of your brain start to shrink. Research shows that lifelong learning effectively increases your brain power. Learning anything new enhances your memory and forms new brain cells. Watching sunset triggers a right melatonin trigger for night sleep and memory. Next one. That's the last slide. Adults as well as children should not multitask. I have told that already. Keep attention span to 45 minutes. Keep your 1 hour cycle. Do not shift between work, screen, games, Instagram, Snapchat, and so on. While on screen, munch fruit, vegetables, squeeze, tweezers, whatever. These activities trigger neurochemical glutamate that helps down the dopamine effect. Yes, I've said a lot. Any questions? Let me recommend you, there is a book with writing, there is a book with Warden's faculty. This is Parenting Heart and Brain in a Digital Age. Mom and Dad Mistake Management. All these are available in the book cupboard, college bookshop, Screen Smart. Any questions?
Okay, Dr. Lalit, what we'll do is we will break into a couple of rooms so that the parents can table their questions to the screen who is there, and we will come back in 5 minutes time and we will table the questions to you. Okay. Okay. So parents, this is what we are going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to break into small breakout rooms, and once you get into those breakout rooms, what we request of you is to table the questions to the scribe that we have allocated.
This is an important topic.
Right. So let me. Okay, so I have clicked, I am creating these rooms, and once you go in there, there will be a scribe there, Father Roshan, Asirini, and I would be there to help you along. So just click on join room. Click on join room. Click on join room. Yes, click on join room. Few more of you, if you can click on join room. Click on join room. Click on join room. All those who are here, just click on join room. And you can table your questions to the scribe that is there in the group. Father Roshan and Asirini. Click on join room, please. All those who are remaining in the main room, if you can click on join room.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, thank you. If a child is pretty much addicted to the phone, I mean, like watching YouTube movies, things like that, are not the bad ones. I mean, like technical ones, he's too much addicted. How can we,
Hi, any questions in this room? Asirini, you are here, right? Okay. Any
Yes,
questions?
I'm here.
Okay. Any questions that you might have that we can ask?
Question. My son has a habit of studying while listening to music. What is your advice?
Okay, Asirini, jot it down so that we can go and ask Dr. Lalitha
Okay.
get into the main room. Just any other questions? Huh? We'll just give another few minutes and then we'll come back into the main room.
Right, sure.
Since you all have not gone into the main room, any questions that you might have that you might like to ask? You are free to ask voice in it, or you can put it in the chat box. Let's give it for 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, most of you all are coming back.
Yes.
Yeah, so what will happen is questions will be tabled by the scribes and
Yeah.
Dr. Lalit will respond to them. So Dr. Lalit, if you
Yes.
keep your camera on.
Yeah. My phone is on.
No, your video is not on.
Do you want the video?
Yes, that might be good. Okay, so can I have, say from Asirini's group, I know you all had a question or two, so if you can ask it, Asirini.
Yes. Dr. Lalit, this was a question from one of the parents. My son has a habit of listening while studying, listening to music. A parent wants some advice from you, Dr. Lalit.
Your question wasn't clear. Maybe the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Dr. Lalit, this was a question. My son has a habit of studying while listening to music, and the parent wants advice from you, Dr. Lalit.
Yeah, you have to, if you send me a WhatsApp, I'll send you the technical article. Children who love music, they make the claim that when they are listening to music, they study better. Actually, when they are listening to music, they sit better. So for 3 hours, they are in one place, but they are not studying. Mozart effect is the thing, M-O-Z, you know Mozart. So it's scientifically proven that listening to music while studying listening to music while studying does not improve learning, but singing classical music with lyrics, and if you can play an instrument, obviously at a time you are not studying, that improves brain. I'll repeat it. At a time when you are not studying and you're into if you are into music, classical music, with singing lyrics and playing an instrument if you can, helps brain. Jazz, rock, all that music interferes with the learning process because they drive you to bottom-up regulation. Classical music helps the executive empathic pathway of reflection. In music must have a regularity and expectation. You expect the song to do something. That is how brain follows music, the intelligent part of the brain. So initiation, navigation, successful and conclusion, reward is therefore music listening and music making. If the music is what goes on the temporal lobe and then goes to amygdala, revs you up, that is bottom-up regulation. All music that puts you to bottom-up regulation, where you can mindlessly tap your feet, then you are not into an intelligent brain behavior. I repeat it, any music that automatically wants you to gyrate, and that is kinesthetic, does not increase learning. That will increase your physiology and your muscles, and that is a different matter, but not learning.
Any other questions, Asirini, from your group?
Other questions, Pastor.
Okay.
Lalit?
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, Reverend Roshan, Father Roshan, any questions from your group?
Yes, one request and one question. The request is, I think Dr. Lalitha said already that we could have his slides. One parent would like to have the slides. So Pastor Kendall, I'm not much tech oriented. Maybe you could guide us as a PTA how to do that. But let me pose the question. One parent said that, one of the struggles is that we keep nagging the child continuously, off the screen, off the screen, off the screen. What practical aspects, doctor, would you suggest in order to be able to convince our children? We may see what you're saying, but how do we pass it on, where the children are convinced of what we're trying to say?
Generally, this is how it goes. Any change of habit must involve that. In all my experience with the Empathic Learning Center, it is the mom who says, stop the screen, it's never the dad. He's in fact complicit, and he will laugh from behind and things like that. I'm not saying particularly about this group of parents who are listening now. But unless dad gets involved in a lifestyle orientation for the son or daughter, in which he's also changing, problem cannot be solved. Dad has to really make time to make home function for the best career son and daughter to have. There are many other technical things I already mentioned, but this is a spiritual, social matter. This is not a medical matter.
Okay, thank you. For parents who
It's a
want
long haul, yeah.
For parents who want Dr. Lalit's slides, I have put it on our chat room. So you're free to download it. Our chat room will be live for only about another 10 minutes. So you can go there and take it. Any other questions, Father Roshan?
That's it, Pastor Kendall.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
if they want to send a WhatsApp to my WhatsApp number, I can send more specific clips. I covered a lot of things, a more specific clip on the practical part of how to get the son or daughter out of this too much screen.